live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Loungetime. I'm your host, Rich Saile, and today, this is a little different. We're doing the first ever Riverside version of Loungetime. This is the first video meeting that we've ever done, and very significant day, obviously, to do it on. But I have a very special guest in studio, well, not in studio, but over this meeting with me today. I've been trying to get him on. I couldn't get him to the basement, the in-studio, but it's okay. I was able to get him through Riverside. I've got the one, the only, Louay Malaeb, a.k.a. I call him Thanos because of the heat. We'll get to that later. But Louay Malaeb joins me on Loungetime. Louay, how you doing, bud?
Yes, sir. I'm doing great, Rich. I'm doing great. I'm
Finally
happy that I'm finally here. Yes, sir. Yes,
Finally
sir.
got you on, man. I mean, it took, what, now? We're on, 3-4 years on this show now, and I got you on?
Oh man, yeah. I mean, for the people that don't know, there's some distance between me and Rich, and
Yeah.
on top of the distance, the work schedule, the school schedule, it's a little bit tough. But
Yeah.
you know what? I talked to Rich over the weekend, and this is actually we're gonna surprisingly drop this video. None of our friends know, none of the
Yeah,
fans
they don't
know.
know. They don't know.
So this is gonna be a big surprise. So I'm really excited for this one, Rich.
Yeah. So we got a lot to get into today. I told you guys the playoffs, we would have guests. We would have amazing content for you guys ready to go. And this is one of those episodes, okay? So today, we're going to recap Divisional round weekend. A lot of crazy storylines to go through in the 4 games. Preview of Commanders, Eagles, Bills, Chiefs. The Final 4 for Super Bowl 59. The championship games next Sunday. We'll go over predictions, previews, how we see the games playing out. Louis will give his Super Bowl 59 matchup and winner. And then we're going to talk NBA because I need to ask you about that Jimmy Butler Miami Heat situation because it's a mess. But just like we did with Rabal last week, we're going to let him give his thoughts on the NBA season. I haven't watched a lot of the NBA because I've been doing my stuff, but that's okay. That's why I got Louis there. And then if he wants to talk to Giants 2025, I won't put you through that misery if you don't want to. And we're going to go over the national championship game, who we each have winning going into tonight, because Ohio State-Notre Dame will play for the national championship tonight. So, I'm going to start off with the divisional round. Now, we had 4, I would say, really good matchups for the most part. Definitely better than Wild Card Weekend. And I got to be able to watch Texans-Chiefs, but I had to, watch it on the side while I was doing something. But I did catch some of the game. First half I saw a little, and then second half I kind of caught it when it was starting to feel over. But I said last week, Louis, the Texans had no shot to beat this team. And if you hear the comments from Will Anderson, D'Amico Ryans after the game, everybody knew it was them versus the Chiefs and the refs. And it's getting to a point now where it's bad. But I'm going to let you steal the spotlight now because you're the guest. I got to let you talk more than I do. What were your thoughts on the Chiefs-Texans game and how that played out?
So with the Texans Chiefs, man, I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even want to watch that game because I think we all knew what the end result was going to be.
Yep.
We knew it was going to be the Kansas City refs versus the Houston Texans. Um, but I was actually away while this game was happening, but I did end up catching the end of this game. I mean, looking at the score now, 23-14, of course, with the Chiefs winning. Rich, even though they won, they don't look that convincing to me, man. They do not look that convincing to me.
Yep.
Looking at Patrick Mahomes' stats right now, it's nothing crazy. 60 for 25, 177 yards, 1 passing touchdown. It's nothing crazy. He rushed for what, 7 attempts, 14 yards.
Yeah.
Rich, listen, I'm not gonna say I'm surprised that they got this far because at the end of the day,
No.
they are the Chiefs.
Go ahead.
But Rich, I have hope for this season. I have hope for this playoffs. I have hope for the Super Bowl.
Go ahead.
I don't want to get my Super Bowl prediction yet, but with this game, those are my thoughts. Like I knew, like we said, we knew this was gonna happen.
Right.
Um, and I'm not surprised, but I think the dynasty ends this year, Rich. This is a little preview for my Super Bowl prediction.
You know what? I'm going to give my thoughts quickly here because I didn't
Go
see
ahead.
this game because I had it on mute for the
Mhm.
first half. I saw the Texans actually stop them on the opening drives of the game, holding the field goals, and they started to frustrate Mahomes early, and I'm like, okay, but this is what I was waiting to see the game before in Week 15. Will Anderson Jr., Daniil Hunter frustrating them, right? And I thought they did a really good job first half. They really got them, when they got past midfield, they held them to field goals. And then they had that one touchdown. I think it was Pacheco that ended up getting it. And I was like, yeah. And they were running up the Texans. Like, it was, like, they found their running game. Like, I mean, Kelsey, that dude, he may not be fast, but he's just agile enough. And he just has that, like, second nature movement where he just has one move and he beats any man or zone coverage in the game. It's actually annoying, but, like, it's like, I guess this is Andy's offense, and that's what allows him to do. But I just think, Louis, like, I think it was Troy Aikman's comments. We have a group chat with our friends in this. I sent you guys a tweet of Troy Aikman going off on the referees, and it's to a point where, like, I watched the clip and I was like, this is what he does though. Like he runs around and then he does a late slide, draws the defender in for a late hit, and I say to myself, what is the defender supposed to do in that situation? Like,
Yeah.
you don't know when he's going to slide late. Like, but here's the thing too. When you go out of the pocket, you give yourself up, right? You become an open runner in the field. Like, you're vulnerable to get hit. When you slide, you give yourself up. And that's why I think, like, this whole late slide BS, it's so annoying. And I understand the frustration of the Texans, but I knew this game, I said last week they had no shot. The refs, they were going to be on their side, and I was shocked that Will Anderson and D'Amico knew it, but I think everybody on social media too, Louis, knew the refs were going to be there. And it got to a point where, like, now there's no secret. It's the NFL, it's the other 31 teams against the NFL, the Chiefs, the refs, and the Swifties. And Caitlin Clark was at that game Saturday, and I was like, oh, really? Like, they got to do this? Like, it's to a point where, like, I was like, wow. Even Joe Buck and Troy Aikman said, it's getting out of hand, and I'm like, yeah, we got a problem. Like, now they're really caught hot-handed. Like, this is, like...
League is getting annoyed. They're fed up.
Yeah, like, I think the general public is getting annoyed, except for Chiefs fans,
Yeah.
bandwagons.
Yeah, for sure.
But, listen, I will say this. I remember when New England used to get a lot of, like, some calls that were controversial, but here's the difference, I think, Louis, and I don't think I've told you this. I think the difference between the Chiefs and the Patriots were New England was so dominant, people were frustrated just how, like, dominant we were. Like, I don't remember New England getting this many calls to the point where it's this level bad in games. I understand, the refs had some questionable calls in some of our games. I don't think to this degree. I don't see it to this where, like, okay, they're favoring them the whole game. We were dominating to the point where, like, we beat you. Like,
Yeah.
you could maybe say a call here and there in a close game. Everybody has them, but we beat you. This is like, okay, come on now. Like, now we know who they're favoring in a game. And, like,
Yeah.
I feel like, listen, I had my run of teams that were great, right? I know Kansas City's going through right now. But it's like, you can't even fool the average member that's watching the game now. They know they're going to favor that team. They know. And it's to a point where the general public's like, come on, man. Like, this is getting, like, ad nauseum. Like, it's enough's enough.
100%, man. 100%. I agree, Rich. I mean, it's like I said, I didn't even watch the game.
I didn't want to watch it, but I was
like,
like, I got to watch it. Shit,
yeah.
But actually,
Um,
I could have not
I mean,
watched
listen,
it.
we could spend this whole podcast like talking about like just ranting about the cheats. Actually, you know what? The Kansas City cheats. That's what we're gonna call them
I
today.
like the ring to that.
Okay.
I like the ring to that. But we're going
Yes.
to save a little bit more because we're talking about the AFC Championship in
Hundred
just a
percent.
moment.
Yes.
So let's save
Yeah.
that. But let's go to the other game that happened on Saturday night. This one, I wasn't that surprised
Oh
at this,
man.
and I hinted to that
Really? Okay.
with our friend, your family member Rabal. And I had him on last week. And I said in this game, I think it's going to be high scoring, which it was. I said the one thing I was going to wonder was, what Detroit Lions defense am I going to get? Am I going to get the team that got absolutely shredded by Green Bay, Buffalo, even the 49ers that put 34 on them? What defense am I going to get? Or am I going to get the one that completely limited Sam Darnold to just 9 points and him missing open throws? And I was like, I'm kind of thinking it's going to be that defense that got shredded against Green Bay, Buffalo, and San Francisco. I did not think they were going to lose by 2 touchdowns. I didn't see that. I said if Washington's going to win, they got to stop the run, which Gibbs was cooking early. And then Jared Goff, you got to get pressure and turnovers, which is what they got. Jared Goff had 4 turnovers in the game. So let me ask you this, because now you've got both NFC East teams in the NFC Championship game, but we're going to strictly focus on the Lions Commanders for right now. Are you surprised at how quickly the Lions were eliminated and the way they lost?
My surprise, no, and I'll tell you why. And I think we talk about this in the group chat, and I think we're talking about Jared Goff as a QB is just, he's a great QB. I can't take that away from him. But when it comes to moments like this, I just feel like he just doesn't show up. He just doesn't show up. Now, am I surprised with the result of this specific game? Yes, 100%. Listen, we know our buddy Vin, huge Commanders fan, and the past 2 years, we messed up with him a little bit. The Commanders have done some bot moves, and he is a bot, so hand in hand. But man, I mean, I gotta give it to him. I gotta give it to this man, this kid, Jaden Daniels. He's a rookie, and he's out there playing like a pro, like a vet. Sorry. I did start watching around the second half, but I did see, I think at half he had almost 200 passing yards. Man, like he looked like he was in control the whole game. He didn't look like he was like nervous, and this is his first season, and he's in the playoffs his first season. Like this is incredible. I haven't seen something like this since what Joe Burrow, I believe he made it to the Super Bowl, and what was it, his rookie or second season in the league?
Year 2.
Year 2. So imagine. So this is Jaden Daniels in his rookie year doing this. So I thought it was impressive. I didn't think the score would be this dominating, 45-31. Um, but honestly, I think everyone on the Commanders stepped up, even the defense with the pick six. Um, the rush game, Brian Robinson is always great. He always looks great. Even Eckler didn't do much, but he also looked great. Um, yeah, and we have the receivers, De'Ami Brown. Man, he looked great. McLaurin. Listen, the whole team did. They played their part. They all did their role, and that's all you ask for from your team. And as a Giants fan, of course, it's just like this is terrible for me. But I can't even hate on this, man. This result of this game. I mean, I gotta give it to him. I'm happy for my buddy Vin. Um, and I'm happy for the Commanders, man. I mean, this is what happens when you have a competent QB on your team. That's exactly what you need.
Yeah, I think looking at this game, I'm not surprised Washington won. I'm not, because I saw the Lions defense, the injuries started to finally mount up, and it caught up with them. And Jared Goff, the one kryptonite he's had in his whole career, going back to the first Super Bowl he went to with New England, was pressure. And if you pressure him, he completely crumbles. And Tampa Bay did that early in week 2. And I feel like that game was a symbol of what Washington had to do. But Jared Goff threw four turnovers. In the game against the Texans, he threw 5 and they barely won. Not all the time you're going to get bailed like that at every game. It's very rare you win games where you throw 5 interceptions and you win the game. So that Texan game too, that's an outlier. But it finally caught up with them. I mean, the Jamison Williams one where he threw an interception. The trick plays, they're fun, but when you start to do it too much, teams start to catch on. And I feel like that Washington, when they hired Dan Quinn, I initially thought, not a bad hire. It's definitely an upgrade over what they've had the last, I want to say now almost 20 plus years now. And I feel like that Cliff Kingsbury was the biggest, probably a top 5 hire in the offseason. I mean, people can make fun of him as a head coach with Arizona that he was bad. As a play caller, he is really good at what he does, all right? He's had success in college. He's had success in the NFL doing really good. Now, Jaden Daniels won the Heisman Trophy last season. And the fact that now he's not only going to win Rookie of the Year, he has a shot to make the Super Bowl and win the NFC in his rookie year. For those with history lesson, the only two rookie quarterbacks in my lifetime that I've seen take their team to a championship game, both in the AFC championship game, were my first 2 years watching football. Joe Flacco with the Baltimore Ravens playing the Steelers, and the Mark Sanchez with the New York Jets when he took on Peyton Manning in them, right? Now, both games were pretty close to the moment, and then Manning beat the Jets, in 09, right? And then Paul Amalu's pick six ended Joe Flacco and the Ravens, right? This game, though, we'll save it till later, but I think Washington, the way that they could score, it comes down to, can their defense play like it did against Detroit? Now, Philly, I think, is a whole different animal, but we'll save that. We're going to save that. But I feel like the way that defense, Tampa looked like they had their way, and it came down to one turnover in the game. This game came down to 4 turnovers, and Jaden Daniels, I said it to Rabal, I said it to Vin on the phone, our buddy. I said, if you got a kid that's unafraid of the moment, you got a shot in every game. And I feel like that's a great quality to have. You look at the top guys, they're unafraid of the moment, Louis. And this kid is a rookie, is unafraid of that moment. He wants it. When you got a guy that wants that moment, you got a shot in every game.
For sure. For sure. I'm impressed. I can't lie. As a Giants fan, this is all I want. So I can imagine what Finn feels like right now.
Yeah, I was telling our friend Joey when we were watching the games yesterday, I was like, I'm hoping the Patriots can do this type of run next season with Vrabel and Drake May. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself because I have to see what we do. But it shows, hey, it's possible. Let's go to the Sunday games because both of these games actually were really good yesterday.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Close games.
Yeah. So the Rams-Eagles, it didn't snow until later in the second quarter. And then the elements started to become a factor. And I knew going into this game, the Rams didn't have, I didn't think they would do well in the snow at all. I thought Philly would take advantage of that. And for the most part, they did. And they ended up holding on. And I felt like that in this game particularly, I feel like that Philly's defensive line, they kind of got to Stafford a little bit. Jalen Carter, remember this name. I remember him in Georgia. He could have been the first pick in the draft, but he slid down to 9 because of off-field issues and stuff like that, right? And he goes to the defending NFC champions in the top 10. And I don't know how Howie Roseman continues to pull off these trades that he does and these move-ups in the draft. I don't know how he does it. The guy's a wizard, right? But he ended up saving the touchdown and the Eagles season yesterday. But Saquon Barkley, that's painful for you. And Rabal was at my house yesterday with Joey watching the game. And me and Joey were showing him, saying, how did you guys let him go there, right? But Saquon Barkley this season, you can make a really strong argument he's the best running back in football right now. I really think we can argue that. And he could have set the record. But they were like, nope, we need him healthy for the playoffs. And they got a real shot of going to their second Super Bowl in 3 years. Their third in less than 10. So, as much as it pains you as a Giants fan, Louis, do you think the Eagles, the NFC runs through them, or do you feel like, you know what? I don't think they look as crisp. What are your thoughts on how the Eagles have looked through 2 playoff games, particularly this recent one?
So if we're talking about the past 2 playoff games, again, can't lie, they do look good. It's Saquon, man. Just that kid is something else, man. And like you said, I don't know how we let him go that easily. And the worst part is he went to the Eagles, and that just pains me to see, man. And every time I'm like, in the beginning of the season, as a Giants fan, naturally, I was kind of hoping that he wouldn't do that great on the Eagles. Just be like, you know what, we let him go for nothing. And if he doesn't play that well, it's okay. It's all good. But man, looking at his stats right now, 205 yards, 26 rushes, 2 rushing touchdowns. This kid, man, he's something special. And I feel like when it's all said and done, he's going to be for sure I think I'd say top 3 running backs in NFL history when it's all said and done.
Ooh.
When it's all said and done, man. And especially if they win a ring this year, that'll add to his resume. And the kid deserves it, man. The Giants just didn't surround him with a good O-line. They didn't help him out. The best player would just let him go like that. And It pains me. It pains me to see this. But back to the Eagles, man. I mean, like, listen, I'm always gonna have some bias against them. I'm always gonna hope that they suck. Um, but if I'm just looking at it from a unbiased viewpoint, they look good. I mean, they look good. Um, I don't want to jump to my Super Bowl prediction yet, but they look good, Rich. They look good. I can't lie.
Yeah, I think watching that game, I think their defense is a complete 360 from what it was last year. Last
Hmm.
year, they gave up a lot of big plays, and you would think it was almost the same secondary they had last year. They lost Gardner Johnson last year to the Lions,
Yeah.
and he helped the Lions go to the NFC Championship game, right? Darius Slay, James Bradbury, you'd think that same secondary that they had would be pretty good. They gave up big plays. They couldn't stop anything. They couldn't tackle well, right? And they go, all right, Sean Desai. All right, Matt Patricia, you're out. Vic Fangio, come back in. And Vic Fangio was on that 2022 team as like, I don't know if he was a consultant or an advisor or like something like that. But Vic Fangio comes in. They retool their secondary, getting Isaiah Rodgers, Cooper DeJean. They bring back Gardner Johnson. And, Nolan Smith, he steps up into a big prime edge role, losing Hassan Reddick. I think he's had a hell of a postseason so far. Jalen Carter stepping in for a bigger role with Fletcher Cox being retired. Okay. Zach Bond is arguably one of the best inside linebackers in football. And that's with Nakobe Dean being out for the playoffs. So to me, the thing that's astounding is they're still playing at a really good level without some of their key veterans that helped them get to multiple Super Bowls, that helped them become a really good, consistent team year in and year out. And yet the holes that Howie Roseman's able to fill, it's like plug and play. They're doing amazing. And Vic Fangio, I think, is one of the best coordinators in football on defense. I think what he's done with that team has been phenomenal. I just think offensively, Kellen Moore is a good coordinator. He used to throw a lot with the Cowboys. And you think, why isn't he throwing more with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jahan Dotson, Dallas Goedert? You've got all-pro tackles. Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson. They can protect, but they're running more. And that's what he didn't do in Dallas. And, Louis, it's like, did we see Saquon Barkley almost breaking Eric Dickerson record potential? I don't think we saw that the very first season he was in Philly. But Jeff Stoutland, hell of an offensive line coach. I think he's by far the best offensive line coach in football. No argument there.
Oh yeah,
I think he is. Because the way, and two, Cam Jurgens slides in for Jason Kelsey, an all-pro center, Hall of Famer likely, and they're the best rushing attack in football. And they're making it look easy out there. Like, people say, well, what do you do with Saquon Barkley? You load the box. Yeah, but the way that offensive line is, you have to be more physical than them. And I feel like the Rams, they're quick. They're undersized. They got speed. But they don't have the bullies in the middle to absolutely punish that offensive line and push them back. They don't have that. And eventually, the Saquon Barkley 2 runs, those were the game.
Yeah, and credit to them. I mean, credit to the Rams. I mean, they did keep it close. I didn't think it would be this close of a game.
Yeah.
It went down to the final possession where Stafford, we saw him just throw it out of bounds, kind of almost. That's what it
Yeah.
looked like, at least.
Yeah.
But you know what? It was a good game. I'm happy as an NFL fan. I'm happy that it was a good game. As a Giants fan, I'm not happy with the end result. But
we're gonna
but
save
yeah.
that because we're gonna save that with the Giants. We'll get to that in a little
Uh-huh.
bit later. But the final game yesterday, last night, two
That was
guys
a good one.
vying for the league MVP: Lamar Jackson for the Ravens and Josh Allen for the Bills. I thought this would be the best game of the weekend. I think it was, and I thought that going in, I thought if you asked me who I trusted more going into this game, I would have said Josh Allen over Lamar. And I think
Mhm.
that when you look at the game in a grand scheme of things, you see why you trust a guy like Josh Allen more than Lamar Jackson. You do see why. The tape don't lie.
100%.
Now, I know Lamar did play better as the game went on, but Louis, I think we have to finally put this narrative out there that
Mhm.
in the playoffs, Lamar Jackson does not play well in big games. He turned it over, I want to say 3 times. Well, Andrews had the one fumble. He turned it over twice. And those turnovers he made, combined with Mark Andrews and what he did, that's the difference in the game. And that's the difference between you playing an extra weekend and still keeping your Super Bowl dream alive and going home.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. At this game, I honestly thought that the
Yeah,
Bills were going to dominate the Ravens. I didn't think they would. I didn't think it would be this close. But I guess with snow games, we never know how they're going to play out.
mhm.
Like you said, Josh Allen, I think he's the better QB, of course. In the playoffs, he shows up more. And I think we've seen it time and time again every year. Every time we watch Lamar Jackson, we think like, hey, the Ravens are looking great this year. They might have a shot going all the way. And it's just, I think, like you said, he chokes in the playoffs, man. He's a playoff choker. He's just, for whatever reason, there's just players that just, when they're in the spotlight, they can't do anything about it. They just freeze up. And that's what we saw. And that's what we saw exactly. I think last year we were at Rabal's house, right? We were watching the Ravens-Chiefs game,
Yeah,
and we all know how that ended. So you just, as much as I like Lamar Jackson, don't get me wrong. I think he's a great player. He's a great QB. I'd love to have him on my team, but
mhm.
I don't think I could trust a guy like him when it come playoff time.
Right. Yeah, I think that you know I had Joey over. He's a Steeler fan. He has an issue with Lamar Jackson fans, but
Oh, Joey.
I told Joey, I said, I think that Lamar Jackson is a fun talent to watch. I have no issue with him at all. I think the only issue I have with him is postseason success. That's the only thing I care about right now with him. I know regular season he could win his third league MVP. And I want to bring this stat up to you because I don't think I told you this stat. He would be the first player in league history to win his third MVP but not make yet a single Super Bowl appearance. Every other guy that's won 3 or more MVPs at least made a Super Bowl by the time they won their third MVP. He's the first one that may potentially win his third MVP and yet not make a single Super Bowl. And Josh Allen has yet to, and I think Josh Allen should be the MVP. I'm not even trying to bash
Yeah,
on Lamar. I
I
think
agree.
Josh Allen personally, like if we're talking the most valuable player, you take him away from Buffalo, they're not a playoff team. Derrick
Yeah,
Henry on the Ravens, if you take away Lamar Jackson, they win more games than the Bills do without Josh Allen. Derrick Henry, people forget, had a 2,000-yard season, and with Ryan Tannehill, granted, but yet, he won more games. And I think that's basically what I deem as the most valuable player. And I think that when I look at what Josh Allen did do, he took the checkdowns. He didn't force throws. Early in his career, you remember this, Louis, he turned the ball over a lot. He would force it into tight windows. And that got him in trouble early. And that got him
yes.
into a situation where, he had a problem with, even when he had Daboll as his offensive coordinator. But the last 3 years, particularly, Louis, I've been really impressed with him. He's not forcing throws much. He's checking it down. He's seeing the game better. And I think that is a
The
great
game slowed
sign.
down for him for sure. Yeah.
It's slowing down. And I think he's just in a good position where he can make the right read. He can make the right play. If he's got an open look downfield, he's going to take a shot. But I think he's doing a good job being patient, letting the game come to him. If he gets an opening, he'll run. But I think that the Bills, they've done a good job still using his legs, but not to the point where you always got to hold your breath with somebody like him because one hit, there goes your season. And I feel like that Josh has done a good job in the pocket more. He has. But my worry right now, and we'll preview this, Sean McDermott, he almost had another, opportunity where he almost botched this game. But Mark Andrews got in the way with 2 critical turnovers, including the 2-point conversion where he, slept. And obviously, he's obviously a great player for the Ravens. But, sad that it happens to a guy that's really good. But hopefully it's a learning experience for him moving forward. But, I tell people every single year that like this team, and the media just jumps on them. I don't know why people don't see what I see. You finally saw the light this season. I was like, the Ravens are a great regular season team, but watch when they play an elite team in the postseason. Lamar Jackson will crumble. He will turn it over. And I rooted for Lamar last year in the championship game. And I was like, I don't know why I do it to myself. He was going to
Yeah.
unravel. And people just have to accept this is who he is, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't mean he's not a phenomenal quarterback. But I said, and people wanted to hail him top 10 all time. And Joey and I was not as pissed as Joey is on this, but
Yeah.
we need to pump the brakes.
Top 10 all time is crazy. No, no,
Yes,
no.
he's not.
I don't agree.
Now, your Saquon Barkley top 3 running back all time. We're going to save that for another show because I got to educate you on some guys, okay? But not in a bad way. But Lamar Jackson, I said if he won, he would have the resume of a top 10 quarterback. I personally wouldn't do that if he won a Super Bowl right away, because I'm of the mindset, give a 10-year sample size and then let's judge him, because that's where I'm like, okay, you got to play at least 10 years for me to judge this. That's why I'm not putting Mahomes top 5 all time yet, because I need to see who I have in my top 10 and I'm comfortably willing to put ahead of, but I'm not doing it right now. It's too premature yet. People want it already, but the media was ready to crown him top 10 all time. I'm like, he has no Super Bowl appearances. How would the hell is he top 10 all time? No way. And that's why I'm like, pump the brakes. I'm not doing it. I said, but he has to get to one to at least have the resume of it. Well, 3 league MVPs, but no Super Bowl appearances. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it right now. Now, again, Josh Allen, this is now his second AFC Championship game appearance. Now, we'll preview that when we get to Bills Chiefs. But I think that, Lamar reminds me a little bit of what Peyton Manning was and what Aaron Rodgers was after he won his first Super Bowl. They're great in the regular season. But when it comes to a big game, they completely unravel. And something is going to come up short for them. And either it's them with a turnover, them not playing well, or something else happens. And I know people are going to say Mark Andrews, but Lamar had 2 turnovers that basically decided the game, and that, that's who he is. He's going to turn it over in a big game, and he's got to learn. You can't do that. And he was even frustrated after the game with him, not protecting the ball.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So, now that we've gone through the divisional round, I'm going to put you now on the hot seat, Louis. All right? We're going to go over Commanders, Eagles in the NFC. 2 NFC East division rivals going at it. This is like your less of 2 evils. I know who I think you're going to root for. But how do you see this game playing out, you think?
How do I see this game playing out? Well, like you said, you already know who I'm rooting for, and that is the Washington Commanders, because it's always fuck Philly. But
That's me with the Dolphins, but go ahead.
But when it comes to the game, listen, the Eagles have been here before. Like you said, they got to the Super Bowl, what, 2 years ago? Right? 3 years ago?
2 years ago, and they're looking for their second in 3 years, and then they're looking for their third in almost 10. But go ahead.
Yeah, so they've been here before. They have the experience. And I just think, experience beats everything at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I do think that the Philly will win this game. When it comes to my score prediction,
You can give it.
30-10, Philly.
Wow, you think it's a blowout?
I just think, and I don't think it's gonna be. I think it's just gonna be the inexperience. It has nothing to do with Jaden Daniels' skill or the skill of the team. I just think when it comes down to experience, Philly's just gonna outclass them. That's what I believe, unfortunately. I mean, again, this is the lesser of 2 evils, man. It's an NFC East matchup, and it's just disgusting to watch for me. But it's going to be a 30-10 Philly Eagles.
I might squeak a little playing game that I did with Rabal yesterday at my house, and I might do it on the show too with you after this if you want. To give people a little bit of context between the 2 matchups between the Commanders and Eagles, early in the season they played. I want to say it was Week 11. That was the Thursday night game in Philly, and Philadelphia for the most part it was kind of low scoring, and then Saquon Barkley has the huge run in the 4th. Kind of puts the nail in the coffin. Daniels did not play well in Philly. And that kind of was the Eagles defense being really good on their home turf. And they were rolling at that point, right? And I'm kind of just making sure I have the right week because I don't want to mess that part up. But I know it was a Thursday night game. Let me just make sure. Yeah, it was 26-18. Washington did strike early with the touchdown. And then 4th quarter, Jalen Hurts with the 1-yard touchdown run, and then Saquon Barkley 2 runs, 39 and 23. That was what decided the game. But it was close. It was low scoring, okay? And that was when Hurts played that game. Now, the second matchup in Washington, Saquon Barkley goes crazy for the first quarter. Washington then adjusts. He doesn't really go off crazy after that. Jalen Hurts gets hurt. I think it's after the first or the second drive of the game. And Kenny Pickett plays. And Philly has a comfortable lead, and then Washington starts chipping away. Defense gets a takeaway. Washington's able to score. And then it ends up being Jaden Daniels with a walk-off touchdown to win the game. So we've seen a low-scoring game for the most part, although people would say 44 points is an average score. And then we've seen a high-scoring game. So we've seen it go both ways. But I'm going to be honest when I say this. You and I are both rooting for the Commanders. We're rooting for our buddy Vinny. But I do think I'm with you. I think the Eagles win because I feel like Philly's offensive line is better than Detroit's. I feel like their defensive line is better than the Lions. They're not injury and thin like the Lions line was on both. Well, the Lions offensive line was not injured, but the defense in general, they were thin. Philly's not injured. They're healthy. And they're playing really good football too than Detroit going into the playoffs. So, and I said beginning of the year, if you listen to the playoff show, I had the Eagles coming out of the NFC because they were the team I trust the most. The only thing that worries me with the Eagles going forward is Nick Sirianni getting in his own way. And he hasn't done that as of late, which I've been pretty surprised. Because game 4, when they lost to Tampa, I was like, this guy's going to blow some games for them the way he's doing it. But give them credit. They've adjusted. They've ignored the noise. They've found their formula. They're going to run the rock, pound the ball with Saquon Barkley in between the tackles, and rely on that home run with that offensive line, the 2 all-pro tackles, and Jalen Hurts. He's got playmakers to throw to. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. We'll get them going if they want to keep playing single high looks. And right now, I feel like Philly's defensive line, they can rattle Daniels a little bit. Their secondary is definitely better than Detroit's. And I think the matchup, Louis, it comes down to Fangio against Cliff Kingsbury. And I like Cliff Kingsbury the way he's doing it, but Vic Fangio is, I think, a better defensive play caller and a better defensive coordinator than Aaron Glenn is. I'm not trying to throw shade at Aaron Glenn. I know he's going to get a head coaching job. But if you ask me non-biasedly who's a better coordinator on defense, Aaron Glenn or Vic Fangio, I'm taking Vic Fangio. And I think that's going to be the interesting chess match that's going to be going on here because Cliff Kingsbury, I don't think has coached in a big stage game like this. Vic Fangio, he's been around a long time. I don't think he's been in a big stage like this, but I would trust him over Cliff Kingsbury because Washington is aggressive. You're going to have to. But points are going to be a premium in this matchup, I think, because of Philly's defense being so much better. I think Washington, they can be smart. But the one worry when they're aggressive is a play like they had early in the Detroit game. And that's what I think. You got to be smart when you're aggressive. Points are going to be a premium. Take the points in this game, right? The best thing they can do, stop the run and force Jalen Hurts to beat you. Now, their secondary, they've gotten picks, they've gotten takeaways, but A.J. Brown and Devontae are a problem. And Marshawn Lattimore got pretty much cooked by Mike Evans early in the wild card round. Devontae, he's a good route runner, but that secondary is going to have to play very, very tight coverage on those 2 receivers. Goddard's, he's got to play here and there, but I feel like that this matchup, to me, comes down to, can Washington stop the run? You have to stop the run. That's what the Eagles are going to do. And can they protect Jaden Daniels? And Jaden Daniels, he's been turnover-free so far in the playoffs. We have to give him credit, okay?
Yeah.
I think,
for sure.
I think they had the one turnover, I don't think they've had a turnover yet. But Jaden Daniels has got to play clean. He's got to play clean, and he's done it so far great in the playoffs. Do not make the game bigger than what you need to play as far as your role. And he's done phenomenal. He's got to protect the ball in this game. Points are going to be a premium. No empty possessions. And, again, don't be over-aggressive.
And we trust that the coach – yeah, sorry. But
no, you're good.
We
You're
trust
good.
that the coach – we trust that the coaches are telling him that,
Yeah.
before the game.
Yeah. I mean, Dan Quinn, he went to a Super Bowl with Atlanta as a head coach, and he was a coordinator for Seattle with the Legion of Boom. I think Dan Quinn is not afraid of big games. I think he has not had good success in big games, but I don't rule this team out the way they could score. But I think Philly's defense is going to kind of make it tough for them to score. I see this game, I'm going to be honest with you. I see 24-14. I think it comes down to, I think Philly's going to win 24-14. I think it's going to be low scoring going into the fourth. And I think Philly's just going to have that one Saquon run like it's been in Green Bay, in this game with the Rams. And I think he's going to have that one. But I think Washington has a chance. I do. I'm not saying they're going to win, but this is the advantage Washington's got. They know Philly. They've played them twice. They're familiar with them. And, hey, Dan Quinn, he's been in big games. He hasn't been on the positive end of it, but he's been a guy that's had experience in these types of games. Cliff Kingsbury worries me a little bit with Fangio, but Dan Quinn against Kellen Moore is an interesting matchup too. How do they play each other? Because it's going to be stopping the run, force Jalen Hurts to beat you with his arm. I don't think Jalen Hurts looks good throwing the ball recently. I don't think he looks good, but I know he's capable of doing it. But I think that's what you have to do when you play Philly.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you said, Jalen Hurts, he's never looked that convincing to me, honestly. And I'm not saying this from a bias point of view. I
Hmm.
just think like even when they did make it to the Super Bowl, he looked good that year for sure. But I think after that, like, especially the beginning of the season, man, he just doesn't seem like that guy, like that QB, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he's just lucky that he's surrounded by a great team, great coaching staff, and yeah, I feel like he's lucky that he got even that far to the Super Bowl. But I mean, he can prove me wrong. I don't know,
Hmm.
you know.
I
But
would
yeah.
say, yeah, I would say the 2022 team, as a talent roster standpoint, is better than this particular team. But the
Oh
way
yeah,
the
for sure.
but the eye test to me says this year's Eagles team is better than that 22 team, as far as eye test, because I
Yeah.
think that Eagles team in 22. I'm not throwing any shade on Eagles fans. I got Rider friends that are Eagles fans, and it's highly Eagles fans over there. But I'm home now,
Mhm.
so I could say this. Um, I feel like that team, you always knew when there was going to be a good team that they played, they were going to get exposed. Now, they were lucky that the Giants' magic carpet ride ended that year. Sorry to bring that up, but I think we all knew once you played Philly, you were going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
And then the Niners with Brock Purdy being out, when you're down to your fourth string quarterback, you basically have the game in wraps, right? But
Mhm.
when they played a good team, they crumbled and they would get exposed. Shane Steichen, to me, that offense looked better in 22 than it does right now. But there's different identities that have taken place. They were more throw heavy at that point. This team's more run heavy. They're not as eye candy as that 22 team was from a throwing standpoint. Okay? Defensively, I know that the numbers, I say defensively, they're better this year than they were in 22. Fangio's a better
Mhm.
coordinator than Jonathan Gannon. And I feel like Jonathan Gannon, nothing against him, yeah, I think they had a record year in sacks that year in 22. They might not have the record sacks this year, but they got dudes that are good. And I think all around, all levels, they're better than that team was. Because I knew
Mhm.
when they played big teams, Green Bay was a good team. They just were not playing good on the end of the year. The Rams
Yeah.
can score. They held them in check for the most part until, Stafford got, a late touchdown before 2-minute warning, and then they had a chance to win the game. And Jalen Carter, that was a big difference. But I feel like that this Eagles team, while they may not be better eye candy wise, like 22, the eye test to me says they're better this year than that 22 team was.
Yeah. And definitely more experience.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. So let's go to the AFC Championship game, the Bills and the
okay.
Chiefs. Um,
Yeah.
the Bills were the only team to beat the Chiefs this year, and that was in
Mhm.
Buffalo in Week 11. Josh
I
Allen has
watched
the
that.
game-winning
Mhm.
touchdown with about 2 minutes to go. And that's the only loss the Chiefs really had. I don't count the Denver game because they didn't play their starters. The only
Yeah.
real team that's beaten them this year has been the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills have not had the postseason success against Patrick Mahomes with Josh Allen. Um, and they're 0-3 all time with them. Two of those being in Arrowhead. Last year in Buffalo in the divisional round, they lost that game. So, is it 4 times the charm for the Bills, or do they suffer more heartbreak? Because I'm
Oh,
going to let you take the floor, Louis, but I'm mixed about this.
Rich, I'm gonna be honest, I'm scared to even watch this game. I want to watch it, but like you said, like I want to watch it on mute. I don't even want to hear the announcers. I don't want to hear the fans. I don't want to look at media
Yep.
that weekend.
Taking a page out of my book.
Um, yeah, man, yeah, man. What was it LeBron used to do before the playoffs? I think it was called like Zero Dark 30,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
he would just
yeah.
like
You nailed
completely
that.
lock in.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah,
nailed that.
so that's exactly what I'm about to do for that weekend. But um, you know what, Rich? You know what, Rich? I think the fourth time is the charm. I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills against the Kansas City Chiefs. Listen, I believe it's 2025. It's a new year.
Yep,
It's a good year
yep.
of hope.
Hmm.
This is it. I'm telling you, I think this is the year that the dynasty ends and it starts at the championship game. They're not even going to make the Super Bowl. So it's going to be the Buffalo Bills Kansas versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Do I think it's going to be a blowout? Probably not.
Okay,
I'll give them 27-20
okay. So
Buffalo
you're close.
Bills.
So I know you saw last week. So you had
Mhm.
the same number of points that Rabal had for the Bills, but you have it by 7. Ball had it 27-13. He said that Bills-Ravens would be a better game than Bills-Chiefs. I didn't say this. Ball did. So it's funny how you guys both have the same number of points Buffalo's going to score. But you have it, Chiefs getting one more touchdown than what Ball has. And it's one possession. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I said last week I had Bills-Chiefs. I had my score being 20-17 Bills. I had Tyler Bass redeeming himself from last year where he missed that tying field goal, and this time he kicks the game winner to send Buffalo to the Super Bowl. Now, here's what worries me. Not the fact that it's going to be the Bills versus the Chiefs, the refs, and the Swifties. That part doesn't worry me. Sean McDermott in late games, particularly with this team, he worries me with the pressure of the magnitude of this game. I don't really like how he's been in big games. That's a history that worries me, okay? And I feel like that while Josh Allen, I feel like, to me, honestly, Louis, he's had only one bad playoff game, which was, I think, the Bengals 2 years ago. I don't think he played terrible against Kansas City last year. I don't even think he played terrible in the first AFC Championship game that they played. I feel like the Chiefs were just better. But 2021, he outplayed Mahomes, people could argue. And I feel like that Josh Allen, I think he's gotten better since that game has happened. I think that's going to give him a chance. Now, Spags, he's an annoying coordinator to go up against because he's going to blitz a lot. He comes from the Jim Johnson tree, okay? James Cook is the guy that I think is going to be a huge, huge role. Can Buffalo run the ball? Now, the one game that Buffalo beat them early in the year, they dominated time of possession. Kevin Mahomes on the sidelines, run the ball, play constantly from ahead. Do not play from behind. If you play from behind, you know what's going to happen, right? And I feel like that if Buffalo controls the game, now they did get an early pick on Mahomes in that game. They got him sacked, right? That's where Von Miller, Greg Rousseau, Ed Oliver, those guys need to step up and play big because you let them get outside, it's going to be not a good feeling because you know with those late slides, you know they're going to try to do it right in front of the ref and go, yeah, throw a flag. Yep, throw it there. But I think that, Taron Johnson getting injured against Baltimore, I want to see that injury because that's a big injury that they had. I think that Josh Allen, he's got to play clean, and I trust Josh Allen in this game to do that. I just worry about Sean McDermott in a big game because in big games, he's made some questionable decisions. The 13 seconds, you don't squib kick it to take clock off. Mahomes gets in field goal range. We all know what happens the rest of that game. Last year, he had some questionable decisions, right, in that divisional round game. I feel like that's the one worry that severely worries me about the Bills going into this matchup, particularly on the road in Arrowhead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rich. Give me 1 second. I just cut off for a second.
No, you're good, bro.
I'm sorry. Do you mind just repeating what you said the last 10
seconds? I was saying that like the one worry that the Bills have, I think, is Sean McDermott in a late game in these big games. He does not perform well in these big games. That worries me because 13 seconds game in 2021, they didn't squib kick it. They just straight up kicked it out of the end zone, gave Mahomes 13 seconds. They get Tyreek Hill in the field goal range. We all know what happens, right? Last year, he made some questionable decisions in that game against Kansas City in the divisional round. I just worry that Sean McDermott is going to just get in his own way, and I feel like he's the guy that can just completely mess their season up because he sucks in late game. He sucks in big pressure situations, and I feel like that's a big worry if I'm a Bills fan going into this matchup.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I agree. I mean, I think as the Bills just got to look at him, and they can't give Mahomes any time.
No.
I don't think they can give the Chiefs any time, especially towards late game situations. Listen, as much as we hate on the Chiefs and Mahomes, we do got to give them the credit. They do have 3 rings. They've been here before, and I know they're going for the 4th one. I mean, who is it, right?
4th overall,
for the 3rd.
repeat.
Yeah, 3rd. Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, but yeah, man. I have hope on the Bills, man. I have hope that they're not gonna keep, hopefully they won't keep it too close throughout the game, and they'll finish it off, man. 2025 is a good year.
Yeah, I mean, they got Mahomes to turn it over twice. You have to win the turnover margin. Time of possession, 34 minutes to about 26. So I thought they dominated much more than that. But in the red area, it was close, both of those games, right? And then third down, they were 9 of 15, and Kansas City was 5 of 10. So it's not like Kansas City played terrible. Buffalo just controlled the game. You have to control the game from opening kick. You have to control that game. Keep him on the sidelines. James Cook is your guy in this game. He has to play big. If they can't run with James Cook, they're playing into the Chiefs' hands. And that's my only worry. But the Bills have to get pressure on Mahomes. They got the early takeaway last time in the regular season meeting in Orchard Park. I feel like that they're going to need a similar type of game, but they're going to need it to be huge. And again, if they can get the pick late to seal the game, that's huge. They need picks. They need turnovers. They've got to get them off the field on third down, and they've got to get pressure on them, which Von Miller, Rousseau, Oliver, I think they can do. And the Bills got to get James Cook going because I think, they got – and you got to remember, Stephon Diggs is not on this team anymore, and they still – they're better in the divisional.
Yeah.
Right? But you got guys like Amari Cooper, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Curtis Samuel, Keon Coleman. These are not big names. But Josh Allen's elevating those guys to this point. They're going to have to step up in big moments. And I feel like that these guys, they can do it. It's just they got to play clean. You cannot turn it over, and you got to affect the quarterback. Run the ball up front, control the game, keep Mahomes on the sidelines. Defensively, pressure Mahomes. You got to get turnovers. And when you get turnovers, capitalize. That's how you win.
100%. 100% agree with you, Rich.
So,
And we'll see this weekend. Next weekend, I mean.
Yeah. So you and I both have the same Super Bowl prediction. We have Bills-Eagles for Super Bowl 59. I have given my pick. I'm going to defer it to you now. So who do you have winning Super Bowl 59 between the Buffalo Bills and the Philadelphia Eagles?
It wants to say one thing. My heart wants to say another.
Okay.
And again, back to what I said earlier, comes back to the experience. The Eagles have been here before. I'm going to say that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the 2025 Super Bowl this year.
Okay, that's not
I know.
bad.
I know. I know. Listen. I want to pick Josh Allen and the Bills. I really, really do.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, I think it's Josh Allen elevating his guys. And I think just Philly is a better overall team. I think I'm not even like looking at on paper. I just think, like you said, with the eye test, the Eagles just look like the better team. I feel like they can show up when it's time to show up. And yeah, man, I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to beat the Bills. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. When it comes to my score prediction, I would say 28 Eagles. I'll give the Bills. You know what? I'll give the Bills 21.
2021. Okay.
Actually, you know what? 28-20.
28-20. So you're going down a point. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to make it feel
That's my
better.
prediction.
I'm going to make it feel better.
Okay.
Reval actually had the same outcome as you did, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles beating Buffalo, I think. But I'm going to make you both feel better. I have Buffalo beating Philly because I feel like Josh Allen, I feel like the steps are showing it's his time. I feel like it's his year. I'm not saying Philly can't beat them. No, they can. But I feel like Josh Allen is on a level where I think you can sense he's up next. And I feel like that with these guys that he's doing with, I think this is a game that's meant for him, that's meant for him to have a big performance. And I think that Vic Fangio and company, they're gonna give him fits a little bit. But I think Josh Allen will be able to rise to the occasion and lift his team. And Buffalo, I feel like they're due. I feel like that this is their opportunity. That they were the one team to really beat Kansas City at full strength this year. I think they get through that. Philadelphia, I think that they're going to be a problem, but I think Josh Allen's going to be a guy that if you can get by Kansas City, I think you can get by Philadelphia. I'm going to go Buffalo 31-27 to beat the Eagles in Super Bowl 59.
Okay. I mean, listen, I'm hoping for your pick. I'm hoping you're right. So
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I mean, beginning of the year, I think I had what Packers Texans, which aged horribly in the preseason. But again,
Yeah.
I'm allowed to make a amendment when I go into the playoffs, and I had Bills Eagles from jump. I feel like that Buffalo and Philly. I think they are the two teams I think that can get in, and I trust both of them on Championship Sunday to pull through.
Yeah.
But
All right.
I'm
All
going to be
right.
clear. You and I are both in agreement. We're both rooting for Vince team, the Commanders, and we're both rooting for Buffalo. So, hey, if it's a Bills Commanders Super Bowl,
100%.
I'm not mad. If it's Chiefs Eagles, it's my lesser two evils again from 2 years ago. And if it's Chiefs Commanders, forget it. I'm sorry. Vin's my dude. They got no shot.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
But, you know,
So,
we can all dream. We can all hope.
all
But
right. So that's
I do
our.
want to,
Go ahead.
sorry to cut you off, Rich. I just want to remind you, we are 55 minutes in. We're not 100% sure when this cuts off. I believe we have 2 hours, maybe. But I
All right.
think
Yeah, I
we
was
could,
gonna go speed through a little bit. I was gonna speed through NBA
yeah,
a little
speed
bit.
through.
All right.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
So let's go into the NBA because you are a Miami Heat fan. I call you Thanos because let's give the audience a little background here. So this man with the Miami Heat, they were a playing team 2 years ago, I want to say now. I did not think that they would beat the one seeded Milwaukee Bucks at that time. I had a feeling that they would beat. I think they lost to Atlanta and then they beat the Bulls, if I'm correct. And
Yeah, in the play-in, yeah.
I thought they would beat Atlanta to play Boston. I was
Yeah.
wrong on that. They would end up playing Boston, and we got into an argument myself and Rabal with you and with Joey because Joey's NBA nerd about the Heat potentially losing to the Celtics, and I felt like that wouldn't be close based on how they were playing at the time. And then this man, he's feeling himself when Giannis gets hurt. Jimmy Butler's having crazy performances in the playoffs. And all of a sudden, this team that was not great shooting threes in the regular season decides to shoot threes like crazy in the playoffs. Where I'm like, this can't be happening. Like this is just weird. And I remember saying to him that it's not going to continue this whole way. And you guys end up beating Milwaukee in 5. You guys end up beating the Knicks in 6. You have a 3-0 lead on the Boston Celtics, and then Boston ties it at 3. And then you end up winning
Scariest moment of my life.
and then you win game 7 because Tatum gets hurt with an ankle injury. And then you played the Nuggets, and the Nuggets clearly outmatched, overwhelmed you guys. And I call this man Thanos because this man with Jimmy Butler, guys, is like me with Tom Brady back in the day. For those people, the Malaeb OGs that know me, okay? This man is basically Thanos. He wants Jimmy Butler to get this because, he'll be top 100, top 75 all time. He'll be this and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay. Jimmy Butler ain't, this. He's really good, but he's not like top level of the league as far as that. But I got the Nuggets that kind of quieted down. And now this situation to where they didn't offer him a contract extension. So he's unhappy. Him and Pat Riley, they get into it, but it's not the first time Pat Riley's gotten into it with a superstar in Miami before. Now he plays Friday night, and it seems like, okay, he still wants to play, but, he wants out still. So let me ask you this. Based on the Jimmy Butler era, you've been pretty happy for the most part. I know the one thing you're missing is a finals championship. But based on this situation with this Heat team, and knowing that he's going to be a free agent after the season, what do you think the Miami Heat need to do with Jimmy Butler? Do you think he stays with Miami, or do you think that you guys trade him before the deadline, or do you think he stays beyond the deadline and then he just becomes a free agent and hits the open market?
So, Jimmy Butler, man. Now this is the tough topic to talk about because, like you said, I've been a huge fan of Jimmy Butler ever since he joined the Heat. I mean, I don't think anyone knew he would play this well on this Miami Heat team. I don't think anyone knew that we'd even get to the finals with just him and this team. Um, and we went twice. I mean, listen, I I have a Jimmy Butler jersey. I'm a ride or die. I love Jimmy Butler, great player. But man, at the end of the day, Rich, I am a Miami Heat fan. Okay. And I think we should do what's best for the Miami Heat, for the whole team. And looking at this, and like you said, Pat Riley, he doesn't play any games, man. I know there's jokes throughout, we've been joking about him for the past few years. There's always like the Heat are always top targets for free agents, and then we just always fall short. We never get them. That one year, we literally, what was it, last year with Damian Lillard? I felt like we basically had him, and we lost him to the Bucks, which hurt a little bit, not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
But with the situation going on right now, Jimmy Butler, I just think. And if you're a Miami Heat fan and just like watching for the past few years, you understand Miami Heat culture. And this is not Miami Heat culture. All these games, man. I don't think the coach plays. I don't think Spo plays. Pat Riley doesn't play around with this shit. Excuse my language, but
You're
this
good.
is this is. I think we got to trade him before the trade deadline.
Okay.
I could see it affecting the team. At first, honestly, knowing Jimmy Butler, I thought this was a joke at first. I thought he was just playing along to the media, just having some fun. And even the recent like remark he made, like right before his game back against the Denver Nuggets, he had a post on Instagram wearing Michael Jordan's number 45 jersey, and with like he posted like the "I'm back" letter. I don't know if you saw that. I sent it in the group chat.
I don't think I
And you're
did
just
see it.
thinking like, what is this man doing? Is this one big joke to him? Like, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
the team is saying no one wants to, play with him, blah blah blah. Media could obviously skew it a little bit, make it, you know, add some drama to the whole situation. But from what I'm seeing, I think it's best we do get rid of him before. The only issue is Jimmy Butler is very specific on where he wants to go. He wants that max contract extension to whichever team he goes to. And he's just in a tough situation. I mean, at the end of the day, he's what, 35, I believe,
I want to.
and he's
Yeah, I want to
only,
say yeah, 34,
yeah,
35. I
35,
want to say
maybe.
maybe
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
35.
yeah. And I mean, from here, he can't really go up from here, man. I mean, he's still good, but like, I don't think he's what he used to be. The past couple years, he's definitely declining a little bit. And I just don't see a situation where a team trades their young guys or some picks for Jimmy Butler and give him a max contract. I don't know. I think the only way is a team that's like, going for the championship run, maybe missing that one key player, but I don't know who they'd even trade for a guy like Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Um, so that's the tough situation right there. I just don't know who we trade him for. Um, I wouldn't mind if they went to the free if he went ended up a free agent. That just frees up cap space for us. I think
Mm-hmm.
Miami is always the top free agent destination. I think it's just Miami. The location is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
The culture, the coaching staff. I mean, listen, I love Spo, man. I mean, with the team, just as much credit I give Jimmy Butler, I give it to Spo.
Mm-hmm.
You look at our team on paper, it's a bunch of nobodies at the end of the day, or at least they used to be a bunch of nobodies,
I
right?
did call them nobodies when you did get to the
Yeah.
finals. I forgot to add that in.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But at the end of the day, they all stepped up when it was time to step up, and they all played their role. I think everyone understands their role on the team.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we're missing is we don't have that as much as everyone, plays their role. I don't think we have that one player that really, really steps it up. Um, Jimmy Butler was great, but I don't think he should have been our number one points guy, a number one scoring option.
Yeah.
I think he's a great number two, but as a number one, and he did great as a number one. You know what I mean? Like when he needed to step up, he stepped up, man. But I remember those during the COVID days, the 50-point triple doubles and all that stuff. Man, he just looked he didn't look real. He looked great, but yeah, we need a number one guy, and I just don't think Jimmy Butler can be that guy right now. And again, looking at this team, I mean, they look deflated. Looking at Bam, he is not looking good this year, man. I mean, his defense has always been good, but offensively, he doesn't look like the same guy that I was watching. I feel like with Bam, when we drafted him, I didn't have much expectations. I always thought he'd be like maybe a backup. And at the time, I think we had Hassan Whiteside.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he's gonna be an 18 and 10 player his whole life. Looking at like you know, the project the looking at his projections and his stats right now, I don't know if he can take that extra jump. I thought he would add that 3-point game in the beginning of the season. He was like shooting more,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. It's just not working. And to be fair, I don't know if it's because of this whole Jimmy Butler situation, if it's just really, really affecting him.
Yeah.
On the other hand, man, Tyler Hero. And this man, and I'll admit, this man from since what, a couple of years ago, when every time there's like a trade rumor, I always said that I think we got to get rid of Tyler Hero just because I never thought like he's great, but I never thought like he's gonna take us there. So every time there's a trade rumor, especially with Damian Lillard, I was like, just put him in the package, should be good enough. And it never worked out. But man, when I'm watching the Miami Heat this season, and I'm not watching them as much as I usually do,
Mm-hmm.
but when I do, Tyler Hero, man, the past couple games he's been putting up 30 plus points.
Mm-hmm.
He's been looking like a different player. I feel like he's locked in. He's not focused on the whole Jimmy Butler thing as much as I feel like the rest of the team is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and listen, this is a kid that every year he's in trade rumors. He hears his name every single year, and 100%, I could tell. I know that that can definitely, you know, hurt is not the right word, but that can affect a player, 100%.
Yeah.
And I just think like credit to him, and he's still young. I think maybe he just turned 25, so he's entering his prime.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the next year or so, I feel, but he's getting there, man. And I'm happy that he's still on the team, and I want to keep him on the team. I don't think he should be. I don't think we should trade him.
Okay.
And uh, and yeah, that's my take on that. But so long story short, I feel like we should trade Jimmy Butler. If not, I'm happy to. If he wants to leave, he can leave. We're not going to give him that much money because it just doesn't make sense for the team.
All right, I'm going to make this a quick two-part question because I want to get to your picks and stuff like that, right? So
Yeah.
the first part of that is, where do you think Jimmy Butler goes if the Heat do trade him? And two, who is the next player that you think, like, okay, if Jimmy's gone, are you guys going to go try to get another big free agent fish, or are you thinking somebody within your young developing roster can elevate to that role, maybe even a better role that you guys can finally maybe get to that first championship since the LeBron era?
So to answer the first part of that question, where do I think he's going to go? Like I said, it's very complicated, but I think from what I've seen, I think what makes the most sense would be the Memphis Grizzlies. I
Ooh.
have heard, I have heard that he just does not want to go there, and if they try to trade for him, he's just gonna leave. So I don't know if Memphis wants to put themselves in that situation.
I wouldn't if I'm them.
And yeah, I don't know if they would if the rumors are true.
Mm,
But I think for him, honestly, man, I think the Memphis Grizzlies would make a lot of sense. I mean,
I like
they're a
that.
tough team, and Jimmy Butler, I think the team matches his personality
Hmm.
and what he needs, man.
Okay.
Um, and they're looking great this year. I mean, look, listen, I'm looking at their record right now, 27-15. Ja's finally back, as long as he doesn't have his shenanigans,
Yeah.
stays focused.
Hmm.
They're looking like a great, great team.
Yeah.
So I think Jimmy Butler, I know he obviously wants to go to a team that's gonna give him a chance at the ring,
Hmm.
and I think the Grizzlies would be a good fit. Now, are they gonna do it? Not 100% sure. I know the Suns are up there, are one of his like top teams he wants to go to.
Right.
I just don't think I don't care what the Suns do, but I don't think it makes sense for the Suns to get Jimmy Butler. I really truly don't think it makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I want anyone from the Suns. Like I don't want Bradley Beal. I mean, I wanted Bradley Beal maybe a few years ago,
You did.
but I don't think it just doesn't make sense. He doesn't look bad. I mean, like if we get Bradley Beal out of it,
Right.
sure. I don't know how his contract looks like.
Hmm.
But I don't want to be stuck in a bad contract again. But I'm gonna say dude, you know what? I'm gonna stick with the Memphis Grizzlies. I
Okay.
still think I think he's gonna come to his senses. If he really wants to leave, he's gonna understand that most of these teams are not gonna give him what he wants, and they're not gonna give the Heat what they want. Pat Riley, like you said, he's not a suck up. He's not gonna give exactly. He's gonna do what's best for the Miami Heat.
Right.
So I'm gonna say the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay. Okay.
And sorry, what was the second part of your question?
The second part is, who do you think that Miami's going to go get next? Either a free agent, or
Oh,
do you think that somebody in your current roster can elevate to that higher role, or maybe even produce a better role? I mean, you can answer that quick if you want.
yeah. So like I said, I think Tyler Hero is stepping up for sure.
Right.
Um, do I think he's ready to be that number one guy? Hmm.
I don't.
I mean, I don't think so either. I hate to say that. I don't think so either. He's getting there, but I don't think he's ready yet.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the free agents for this year or
I
like
haven't either, to be
the
honest.
players. Yeah, but we always, and this is might be a hot take. I feel like we're always looking at Giannis.
I was
We are
gonna
always
bring
looking
that
at
up. I
Giannis.
was gonna bring that up to you
We
because
are always looking at Giannis,
yeah,
man.
I don't think
And
he's happy in Milwaukee right now.
I don't think so either. And I mean, like, listen, I think Milwaukee tried everything to keep him happy. I mean, they got Damian Lillard, they got this, and they do have a ring at the end of the day. At least he has a ring. It's not a
Yeah,
bad thing. But I think Giannis, if he gets the chance and if things look good, I think he could come to the Miami Heat, man. I don't know when. I think he just extended his contract like recently, no? Like maybe like 2 years ago. So I don't know how his contract is looking like.
hmm
But um but honestly, I think the only player I see right now is the Heat going after someone like Giannis.
yeah. I think that's actually likely. I think if the Bucks have a disappointing first round exit again, I feel like that talk's gonna start ramping up because
Yeah.
Milwaukee got him Damian Lillard, and this was when he was not really happy at this point. I think that was right after the
Mhm.
first round exit. And
Yeah.
they had the whole coaching thing last year with Adrian Griffin and Doc Rivers. So I kind of give last year a little bit of a pass on that. But now
Mhm.
I don't trust Doc Rivers to do anything in this postseason, to be honest. So I kind of seen that
Yeah.
light. But I just feel like another first round exit for this team. I don't know how long Giannis wants to stay in Milwaukee. He's kind of earned that right where he did win him a championship. Now it's okay. Do you finally want to venture somewhere else to finish your career? And I think the guy's won 2 league MVPs. No, three actually. 3 league MVPs, I want to say. And he's won a championship for them. So I think, he's earned the right to kind of go see who else wants him. I feel like he's at that right where, I think this will be, I don't want to say it's the last chance at a big max contract, but I think he can get a max from a lot of teams in the league if he decides to leave if the
100%.
Bucks have a disappointing season.
Yeah.
So,
I think if Butler were to leave, we'd have that cap space to give Giannis that money.
yeah. All right, so I'm going to quickly go through the NBA. Well, I think you're going to have the standings. I think you probably have them in front of you right now. But
Yeah, I'm
quickly,
looking at
give
it right
me
now.
your top four in the East that meet in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Then go to the Eastern Conference Finals, and then who comes out of the East to represent the finals, and then go into the Western Conference. Same thing. Top four Western Conference Finals, and then NBA Finals matchup and winner.
Okay, so top four from the East, Cavs, not in order. Cavs, Boston, Knicks, and the fourth one is tough. It's honestly, I feel like right now, I feel like the Magic are not doing as great as they were before.
Okay.
I don't want to say the Bucks either. I don't trust the Bucks. It's either between the Pacers, Hawks, and Magic, and you know what? I'm gonna throw in the Magic. I
Okay.
think they're gonna figure it out again at the end of the year, and those are my top four from the East. When I'm
Uh,
looking at the West, it's definitely OKC, Memphis, OKC, Memphis. I feel like the Nuggets are always gonna be there, so the Nuggets and Minnesota don't trust this year. Dallas, man, don't trust this year. Even the Suns, man, they've been a disappointment. So OKC, Memphis, Nuggets. Hmm. You know what? This is going to be a surprising pick. I'm throwing in the Clippers.
I don't know how they're the top five
Yeah,
without Kawhi, Paul George leaving. I don't trust that team. I don't know how they're doing it. That's Ty Lue, man.
yeah. Man, Ty Lue he's a good coach, man. He's a great coach, actually.
Yeah.
And I think from your podcast with Rabal, you did mention Jimmy Butler going to the Clippers.
I think they need him because I feel like you can't trust Kawhi. You can't. They need a real number one option. I think Jimmy would be happy in LA. I think they can afford him somehow, some way, because I feel like Kawhi is basically done. Like his
Yeah,
injuries are starting to catch
for
up. They
sure.
need a one. I think Steve Ballmer's got money. He'll pay Jimmy Butler. So I did say that.
Yeah.
So Eastern Conference Finals, Western Conference Finals, NBA Finals pick and winner.
Okay, so Eastern Conference is between the Cavs and the Celtics.
Okay.
Uh, and the West, it's going to be between the Thunder and the Grizzlies.
Same as
And
me. Okay.
yeah, and my final prediction is going to be. again, unfortunately, as a Heat fan, it's going to be the Celtics versus the Grizzlies.
Same as me. Go.
And I think the Celtics are going to be repeat champs this year.
How many games can I ask?
And how many games in the finals? I think it's going to be six.
So we have the same exact one. We have the same exact one as last week. Wow.
Mhm.
All right. Wow. I want to end with this. College football playoff national championship tonight. Ohio State, Notre
Yeah.
Dame. Who do you have?
I haven't watched college football. I've never really watched college football until we this year started the Dynasty League with College Football 25, and I've loved it,
Hmm.
man. College football is so exciting. I never thought I'd like it this much. But to give you a quick pick, it's Ohio State for me, man. Ohio
Yeah.
State, and
Yeah.
I think it might be a blowout.
I got
Am I
that
wrong to
sense
say
tonight
that?
too. I got the sense
Am I
tonight too.
wrong?
It's going to be a blowout. I do.
Yeah. I
So,
don't have an exact score because with college football it's always crazy, but I think it's going to be a blowout. Ohio State for sure.
all right. I'm going to save Giants 2025 for a later episode. If you want, you and I will probably get together one more time for maybe an
Sure,
NBA
no
playoffs
problem.
preview bracket. Maybe we'll do something like that. So I'm going to save the Giants 2025 for a later date and time.
Mhm.
Louis, thank you as always, bud, for coming on, bud.
Oh
I hope
man,
you guys
thank you for
enjoyed
having me.
the first time that we're doing an episode on Loungetime on Riverside. Louis, thank you so much for taking the time as always. Make sure you guys hit that
Thank you, man.
like button. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. Make sure you guys hit that notification bell because we are not done with playoff content. We are going to have a Super Bowl preview. And maybe, just maybe, we might have an epic conference championship breakdown after the two games are played if the right scenario works. And yes, if the Bills win, I have a surprise for you, Chief Bandwagons, and I'm going to make sure you have to deal with it. And if Vin's Washington Commanders win, I'm going to try to get not only my buddy Yoham live, not only am I going to try to get Vin live, I might get the Joey guys, and I might get a whole trio. We're going to
Whole
celebrate the
dynasty team.
Chiefs losing to the Bills.
Mhm.
Vin potentially may go to the Super Bowl. If the perfect scenario works, live lounge time right after the conference championship games that will be uploaded next Monday morning. So you don't want to miss it because we will also have a Super Bowl 59 preview if that works out perfectly. If not,
Oh, man.
I will make it the week of the Super Bowl because I got to talk Hall of Fame and stuff like that. But you don't want to miss it, though, guys. Louis, thank you as always, bud. Thank you so much for taking the time,
Thank
bud,
you,
to
Rich.
join Lounge Time.
Appreciate it, man.
All
Have a
right.
good one.
Yep. All right, guys. I will see you guys potentially after Championship Sunday if the right scenario works. If not, I will see you guys in 2 weeks to discuss Super Bowl 59. Have a great Championship Sunday weekend, everyone.